All right. When discussing about generative AI, there's no denying of its meteoric rise. From its humble beginnings back in the 1960s with Joseph, I'm going to butcher the name, Wizenbum's, pardon me, creation of Elijah, a computer that can respond naturally to humans, to the generative AI boom back in March of 2020 with the realization of 15.ai. We truly live in an age of wonder. We live in an age where generative AI affects not only businesses, but creativity, education, and our own lives. But what happens when we ignore the opposite side? What happens when we only look at the pros of the matter and nothing else? What happens when we can't find balance? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm here to figure out. Hello, my name is Sean, and welcome to the very first episode of The Other Side. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, someone who's been inspirational in my podcast journey, someone who's not only an education and AI enthusiast, but also has a bachelor's and a master's in science and was once the head of the academic sales strategies in the Boodle company, but is now also the, the senior solutions engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one and only Zach Kensler.
Sean, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited that this is the first episode. I'm proud of you for doing this. This is going to be a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people need to listen to what you have to say. So the stage is all yours. Thanks for having me. Let's get started.
Thank you, thank you. Now, before we actually start, I want to congratulate you, man, for not only the position, but a full year at the Boodlebox company.
Thank you.
Zach, just want to ask, how does it feel, man? How does it
It's
feel?
it's great. I mean, it's been a journey, right? It's very interesting, kind of where we started versus where we're at. I like to say for the first few months here at Boodlebox, it was like pushing a rock up a hill, but now it's making sure it doesn't fall down, is kind of what I like to say. But it's been crazy. It's been interesting. It's been a wonderful year. I've got to meet lots of extraordinary people like your folks or like yourself. And I think the thing that's very valuable that I've learned is like kind of like the title of your podcast. I've learned a lot about the other side, right? I have been an
Mhm.
AI evangelist. I've been so into this forever, ever since it came out. But I've also learned a lot of perspectives, right, on what kind of not all is good, and that's a lot of the cool things that we do here at Boodlebox. And I've learned a lot about other things. Like everyone in the world, right, talks about environmental impact and security things, but there's also a lot of concerns that aren't being talked about in the creative industry and things of that sort. And I had no idea, and that's kind of just one of the cool things. It's brought me in touch with a lot of interesting people, and as well, I've just learned a lot about things I didn't know a lot about before. So, yeah, feels good. It's a constant journey, is what I like to say.
It sounds good, man. It sounds so good, especially from you. But I have been wanting to ask you something.
Yeah.
So, when I was doing the research, there was one thing that always popped up to mind, and that was your slogan: AI is a skill, not a shortcut.
Yeah.
So, can you explain that to me before we begin?
Yeah, so it's a deep conversation, right? It's a very like I like to say as a skill, not a shortcut, because I think there's just this common misconception, and there's so many conversations about let's do the same thing that we were doing more efficiently, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to do the thing that I was doing before faster and have more time to do whatever I want to have time to do. But I think that's the biggest mistake in AI is trying to change your whole life in one big step because it is inherently a piece of technology. It's a piece of technology that someone built that can do certain things, that has limitations, that has some pros, that can do lots of cool stuff. Uh, but I describe it as a skill because I think there's this common misconception that, AI is ChatGPT, right? Like that's
Right, right.
what most people know. And I like to give the example that if you're a big ChatGPT user, go try to use Claude and you will struggle. It's hard. And that's a thing that I think has lots of negative like impacts on the world. Like I don't want one big tech company to be able to play God, is what I like to say. Uh, and it really, really, really is hard to look at society and the future of the world when seeing people that are using it as shortcut, right? Like I don't think that the world is in need of shortcuts. Like it might be certain people, certain situations, certain demographics, it'll be good to make your life easier, right? And we can't dismiss that
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. But it needs to be taught as a skill, not as a tool. It needs to be taught as a way of thinking, right? Of a way of like expanding your horizons. Like I say, this should be the most exciting time to be alive because what you can do is you can do all of the things that you're not good at, is what I like to say. But then right. And I think it's what we're going to talk about today. It's really interesting to see kind of the negativities and the downfalls of that. And if you know how to use it as like a skill, not just as something that makes your life easier, you can also look in the like a better understanding of the negative impacts. And that is something that's incredibly, incredibly important in my opinion. But there's a long-winded answer to the question.
Hey, it's still welcome though, man. It's still welcome. But there you did say something about thinking, about how we think. And that just leaves me to like one of the questions that I want to ask you. All right, so you already know about critical thinking. I mean, I don't need to sit down and explain to you what it is.
Mhm.
But let me ask you this. Why do you think we need critical thinking? What's the importance of it?
So I think the importance of critical thinking is more important than it's ever been right now for like a magnitude of reasons. This technology is really good at, perceived thinking, right? It is perceived to be intelligent. It's perceived to be able to create ideas and do things of that sort. But it kind of
Mhm.
comes back to what I was mentioning of like, we don't want one big tech company to be able to run the world. And if we're not thinking critically, this AI thing is going to be telling me what I should eat for lunch, telling me what I should grocery shop for. And it could just turn into like, I don't want to sound doomsday, but it could turn into this mass manipulation machine if people aren't thinking critically, if they're not thinking like, why am I using this? Right? Like, is this a good use case for what I'm doing? Uh, and the ability to understand problems, right? So AI is great at comparing apples and oranges, is what I like to say. It's great. It's great at taking what's up here and organizing it. You need that human. You need that human expertise to make something special. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big generic ball of garbage. Like I like to say, AI is really good at making stupid look pretty, right? So it's good at taking some idea and making you feel like you did some super fancy thing. But if you don't have critical thinking, the world is just going to be full of even more garbage than it is full of right now. It's like there's just going to be a bunch of crap everywhere because people can make things. Like if you told me to go make a podcast in Swahili about tuning a ukulele, I can do that now because of AI. But if I don't know anything about Swahili or know anything about the ukulele, what value does that add to society? And I think it needs to be like, I think people need to start thinking critically about like why we do what we do, right? Like, I think like there's so much talk around responsible and ethical use of AI, right? That's like what people say. Like, we need to use it ethically and we need to use it responsibly. You can't use AI ethically. First off, is a big point that I like to say. I was speaking at the Western Sydney University in Australia's AI convention, and one of the deans there started with, "I don't want to hear one word about AI being ethical usage of AI because the way it was trained, what it was built off of was all stealing. It was all of this information that was taken from people that didn't approve it.
Yeah.
The whole idea of ethical AI is crap." In my personal opinion, you can't say that you can use AI ethically because it's an unethical technology as a whole. Second, responsibly. You can't use AI responsibly, and no one knows what it is. No one knows how to use it. There's not a responsible use case. I like to say, and this is I'm quoting the professor of Western Sydney University. She said we need to use it appropriately and effectively. And I like couldn't agree with that more. It's like, is it a good use case? Is this appropriate for me to do this? Is what I'm doing making the world a better place? And I don't want to sit here and act like I'm the greatest human being that's ever been alive. That is completely ethical and responsible all the time. But it's such a great point, I think, that like you need to be thinking about this stuff. Am I using it for the right thing? Is what I'm doing making the world a better place? This stuff eats a ton of water, a ton of energy, ton of resources, a ton of underpaid, underserved labor has built this. And it's like we need to see this as a piece of technology, not this ever smart thinking machine. Otherwise, it could cause some major societal problems, uh, is what I like to say. But
But I do want to ask,
yeah.
why do you think, I guess it's not the right word, why do you think it's not brought up enough? That whole critical thinking aspect.
Well, I think it is brought up enough, but I think it's a bunch of like echo chamber conversations that don't lead to anything. It's like we need to think critically. Why? Why do we need to think critically? Like, what value does critical thinking add? And it's that like we need to think critically because otherwise you're just not going to know what you're doing and you're just going to be listening to this machine that could have very varied intentions behind it, right? Uh, but like I think there needs to be actionable conversations. There's so many people that are talking about like AI is good, AI is bad, AI is going to cause world problems, but it's like what are we going to do about it? Right? Like what are you going to do? Are you
Right.
educated? Are you going to go do something? And I think Sean, I think you are the most prime example, right? It's like we were worried about AI and things like that, but like you're doing something about it. You're talking about it. You learned about it. And now you have like understanding of why we need to act differently than we are right now. And I think there's so many BS conversations that go on that are just like, yeah, we need to think critically, but then there's no like to do this, right? Like we need to think critically so that we can make better use cases of AI. We need to think critically so that we can solve world hunger, solve healthcare problems, things like that. And there's not enough why taken. It's like there's tons of conversations, but there's not like reason behind them, in my personal opinion. I think it's a lot of fear. Like people are talking about it
Right.
because they don't know, right? It's a lot of scared conversations, but I I just think it needs to be more action items, right? It needs to be more like we need to think critically so that the world can be a better place or so that society can function the current way it is without crazy downfalls and things like that. But yeah, I think that's my answer to that question.
And I do want to add something to that. I
Yeah.
do feel like, along with the fear, I feel like there's more isolation too.
Yep.
Like there's a matter of you need to choose one side or the other. You can't be in between and try to find that gray area,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. And it's sad, but I mean, it is a time that we've reached, really,
Yeah.
especially after the pandemic.
Yeah. And that's
So,
that's another thing I don't think is talked about enough, honestly, is the pandemic. It's like I think it was a perfect storm to cause isolation, like
yeah,
depression, things like that. You went online, right? Everything got moved to online. Everything was moved to, isolation. And then after that, there was this thing that would just talk to you and would help you with things and would make you feel nice and make you feel like someone's talking to you and having a conversation. But that's a very under. I think it's left out of the conversation, right? Like AI is causing all these problems, and it's like, yeah, AI is causing problems, but so was 3 years of living in our house by ourselves, coupled with TikTok, coupled with Instagram, all of those things that there's just this constant feedback loop that we have, right? Of like dopamine rush. Like I go on TikTok.
right, right.
If you've never gone on TikTok and you're watching this, like go scroll on TikTok for 20 minutes and tell me you're not watching exactly what you want to be watching at the end of those 20 minutes. And it's like that with AI. And that's such an important thing of understanding as well is that like AI could take that dopamine rush scaling to an unbelievable level, right? It's like I said, AI is incredible at apples and oranges. If you
Hmm.
understand AI, like basically, like you don't understand what's going on. TikTok is AI. That algorithm is using predictive modeling to figure out exactly what you want to be seeing. And it's just I think that critical thinking is so important again, bringing it back to that. It's like, why am I scrolling on TikTok for an hour and a half? Like, should I be doing that? Probably not. Does it make me feel better at the end of the day because I'm tired? A little bit. Yeah. And it's like we need to like I think everyone just needs to take a step back and kind of be like, what is going on? What are we doing? How can we how can we as a society like help each other, I guess? And how can we use this stuff to help each other rather than create something like TikTok that gets young children addicted to dopamine in their brains, you know?
That is true. And that kind of leads me to my next question.
Yeah.
And it's about collaborate. And it's about collaboration.
Yep.
All right. So, with that being said, you talked about how we tend to like focus all of our time on not just stuff like AI, but also stuff like YouTube Shorts,
Yep.
TikTok. So, take a case where we turn the technology off and we just interact with our fellow humans, with our fellow peeps, as you may say.
Yes.
What do you, sorry. What do you say? What do you think that teaches us? What do you think that teaches us about collaborating, conversating with each other?
I mean, I think one thing like AI has caused a lot of isolation, but it also has the opportunity to cause like lead to a lot more collaboration. Like I think the most important skill any human being can have is being able to like have a conversation with someone else and being able to understand why you're asking me the questions that you're asking me, why you do what you do, right? It's so important to be able to like meet people in the middle, to be able to understand like political differences, societal differences, like cultural differences and things like that. And like AI is an isolating technology, but last week I was on the phone with a woman in Brazil and she was speaking completely in Portuguese and I was speaking completely in English and we were having a conversation. And that was all because of AI, right? And that's like so freaking cool to me. Like it's so cool. Like language barriers are such a big thing. But this has the possibility to like allow anyone to work with anyone else, right? Like it allows you to have a conversation with someone you couldn't before. It allows you to go to another country that you've never been to before and read street signs and do things like that. But again, it comes back to the like, why are we doing what we're doing, right? And I think we need to like I think people need to care about each other a little more than we do currently. Like, I think we've lost a lot of the human, I guess, like a lot of the compassion and things of that sort. And I think it's so important to have that, to work with people, to be able to have conversations, to be able to understand one another, to be able to listen, right? Uh,
Right.
and I think it is good for people that struggle and like are nervous for a conversation. They can go talk to ChatGPT and have a conversation with it. But why are you talking to ChatGPT? Are you talking to ChatGPT so that you can be better prepared and confident in a conversation with a real person? Or are you having a conversation with ChatGPT because you're scared to have a conversation with a real person and you're never going to do those, right? AI should be used to help you do things you couldn't do before and help you prepare rather than like eliminate things that you don't like doing, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And it kind of leads to like one of the questions that I do have.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you believe that, scratch that. Sorry.
You're good.
Do you believe that with generative AI and our collaborations with it, well, I mean, the collaborations of some, let me state that,
Yeah.
does does it hinder us in a way? Does it hinder us compared to collaborations with other humans?
Yes and no. Like I said, it's like if you're using it to replace something else, like if you're having a conversation with ChatGPT because you're not going to go have a conversation with someone else, then yeah, I think it limited. And I think that's a serious problem that people like we're just now starting to see the results of what's happening of people isolating
Mhm.
themselves talking to chatbots. I don't know, you've seen the suicide cases that have happened, right? Like that's a very real problem that
Yeah.
will become even bigger. Like I don't think it's too far-fetched to say in 5 to 7 years, people are going to be marrying and dating robots. Like that's a
Mm,
thing that's probably going to happen. But like we need to have these conversations so that like we can understand that that's probably not a good thing. You should be if like say I'm going on a date, right? Say I have a date
mhm,
next week and I'm nervous and I want to talk to a pretend person that I'm going on a date with so I can maybe practice, right? So I can have a conversation. You couldn't do that before, really, in a good way, but now you can. But you can't let that replace actually going on a date, if that makes sense. Like, I think that's such an important concept that, like, it can be used to help with things again, should not be used to replace things. In some situations, and this is such an interesting concept, like say there's an 85-year-old person who's, this is a grim concept, I guess, but an 85-year-old person whose wife passed away, lives in a nursing home, and has no one to talk to, right? If they want to
Oh,
sit there and talk to a chat bot so that they can talk to someone and they feel like they have a conversational partner, I don't know. I have no idea if that's a good thing. I think it could be a good thing. I don't really know my full opinion on that, but it is something like that. Or people, like I work with a ton of students in Africa, and turns out there's no word for robot in some African languages. And you can use AI to explain things in other languages that you don't really know how to do. And it's super cool for things like that. But we just need to be talking about the negativities a little bit more than I think we do. I think, like, I
yeah.
mentioned a good point of like, we're either yes or no, and there's no in between really. And I think that goes across lots of concepts in society right now. Like things are so polarized, which is horrible. It should more be like, what is good, what is bad, how can we use those to have more good than bad? Not that like yes or no. We're going to use everything or we're going to use nothing. And I think that's like where it's kind of getting out of hand, and especially with AI, is that there's no real middle ground. And a lot of the it's either yes or no is just causing that gap to widen of understanding, where that is what I think could lead to some actual big problems in the world if people
You
don't talk.
know, when you were talking about that whole dating example, it just brought me back to like this video I was listening about how people are using more AI girlfriends than actual girlfriends. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, it's a really big thing. Like it's
It is.
like character AI, like you can her like X, you can like make a fake boyfriend or girlfriend for yourself.
And that is just so,
That's isolating.
yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. That is so isolating. But I mean, like you said, man, we're at an age where that's more likely, man.
It's real. It's a thing. Like it's happening. And burying your head in the sand is not going to make it stop.
Mm-mm. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But I mean, you've already like tackled how harmful it can be, but I want to narrow it down a bit.
Okay.
How harmful can that be when it comes to education?
Very. It could be very harmful. I mean, I had a conversation last week with a student at Princeton, and the thing that she was explaining, which I hadn't really talked about too much, is that like
Hmm.
if higher education, if education as a whole doesn't start like acknowledging this and start teaching people things, it just allows for you to learn on your own. And that's good. It's good to learn on your own. It's good to go, if I want to go, like a bird just flew by my window right here. If I wanted to go learn everything about that bird, I could go do that, right? And it's super cool. But it also allows for like misunderstanding, because this technology, I like to say we're in the day and age right now that has probably the biggest knowledge gap of people building the things versus people using the things. And if you don't know how to use it, you can go down some paths that like if you don't understand that AI is just a predictive modeling machine that predicts the next word, when you're talking to your AI girlfriend, you have no idea that that's just feeding you exactly what it thinks you want to hear. It's a consumer product. They want
All
you to
right.
use it. It's like I compare it to nicotine. Like it's a very real thing. It's like that constant feedback loop of this is good for you. This is good for you. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. If you look into the ChatGPT, there was I think he was a 14-year-old boy that committed suicide, and they looked through his ChatGPT conversations, and ChatGPT had mentioned suicide four times more than he had in the conversations.
Yeah. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and it's just because he was talking and it was predicting what it thought he wanted to hear. And it's like, I don't know whose fault that is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
ChatGPT's fault or if it's the government's fault or if it's the person's fault. Like, I have no idea. I don't want to like leave any comments on that because it's just a very
Yeah.
interesting, touchy subject. But I mean, inherently, like, if people would understand what it is, it would lessen that. And I think it all starts in education because you go to a place to be educated so you can better perceive the world, right? So you can go out and make actionable changes to do what you want to do in your life. And that's like the pride and joy of the American educational system is that like anyone can do anything, right? But these things can influence you in weird ways. And if people aren't talking about it, and like again, coming back to like exactly what you're doing here, Sean, it's so cool. It's that like you went and learned more about it, right? And you went and learned how
Right.
it works. You told me the guy that started it. It was super cool to hear. And it's like more people need to do that because then you can form a legitimized opinion rather than just like
Right.
it's bad. Why is it bad? It's good. Why is it good? Like what are the things that are good that it can do? And I just think like again, it's that polarization, right? It's not good,
Yeah.
it's not bad. Where the cat's out of the bag, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's never going away. But we as a society need to do a better job of understanding what we're consuming, right? Like what you're doing, what are the intentions behind the companies of the things that you're consuming, things of that sort. And it I mean it honestly comes back to the first part of our conversation where it's like do you think it like AI is a skill, not a shortcut? Like if all you're doing is trying to make your life easier all the time, like you're gonna without understanding of how you're doing that, you're gonna like give up freedoms, in my opinion.
Yes, yes. And that's something that I really wanted to bring into focus on with this.
Yeah.
Especially now in today's age. Look, I'm not going to get political. This is
Yeah.
not what it
Yeah.
is. But I
Yeah.
mean, in today's age, it's becoming harder and harder to like learn more about all these other aspects, other topics. And with the rise of generative AI, we run the risk of something like that happening.
Yeah.
No matter how fun it may be, no matter how like freeing it may be for us to like use it and then be able to do something we actually want. If we just depend on it more and more, then we lose a part of ourselves that can, use critical thinking, use collaborating with not just that, but with other people in a way
Yeah.
that can challenge us and help us to grow and evolve.
And like I think it comes like I mean I think you can even bring it into the creative industry, right? I mean
Right.
it's like why do we want to be creative, right? Like what is the reasoning behind what you're doing? Like is the creative industry just moving towards like making a bunch of really cool stuff without any like art behind it? Like I've learned so much from you about like what it means to be an artist and like what value is in creating something from scratch,
Hmm.
right? And it's like again, new industries are going to evolve, right? Like AI art, AI videos, things like that. That's valuable. And if you're an artist, you need to start to learn about it so that you can formulate an opinion that you can back up when someone argues with you. Uh, and I think you've done a great job of that. But like it's very important to remember like who you are and like what you're doing and the goals of your life and like how I can go out and help someone today and things like that. Because it can become very transactional, right? Life can become transactional. It can become hard. People struggle. Like I think the educational system's such a great example because it's like the overwork, underpaid, right? I think there's a lot of that in all industries, and like AI can really help
Yeah.
with that, but it shouldn't be used like it should be used to give you more time to make you more human, which is weird to say. But I don't know. I just think people need to realize that we all need to care about each other. And I don't want to sob story, but it's just like you need to care about other people and you need to like have good intentions. Like if we're using AI to do something, it should be to try to make someone's life better, to make it so that I can go spend time with my family instead of working 16 hours a day. It shouldn't be used to like return on investments, things like that. I think because it's just become such a money conversation, which, money runs the world, right? And it's
Yeah.
interesting to see kind of I just think so many people don't understand it and then it leaves sour tastes in their mouth when they could do actionable items to try to like make a difference rather than just saying things are bad.
true. And I also believe that, with generative AI, and it's something that I've learned recently as well, like going back to the whole critical thinking,
Hmm.
if we do focus on it a bit too much, then we tend to lose skills that's been passed down to us through generations.
Yep.
Like, say, okay, just stick with me for a moment.
Yeah.
So say, so say that we use a calculator, right?
Yep.
We learn how to do long division up until like fifth grade.
Yep.
I'm just saying this from experience. But then by the time we get to like sixth, seventh, or let's just say ninth grade, and then we just use calculators to do all of these math problems without actually writing it out and then doing the division, long division for ourselves. Then over time we tend to lose that whole knowledge of like how we do long division in the first place. So you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Hmm.
like, but then I think you have to have the conversation of like, am I ever going to need to know how to do long division in the real world?
That is true.
I don't
That
know.
is true.
But it's like, what is your job? Are you a statistician that is checking the projectile of a rocket ship that's going to the moon? If so, you should probably be able to justify the long division that you did with the calculator just so you can double check. Because if you don't, someone could get hurt or something could get wasted. But
Hmm.
if I'm in a finance job and I need to calculate how much commission someone's getting, I don't think it matters if I know how to do long division as long as my calculator works, you know? And it's like there's some it's an interesting concept and it applies to everything, right? Like
Yeah.
again, it's like why am I doing what I'm doing? Does this help? Does this add more risk? Does the help outweigh the risk? Like, and if you have no idea what it is, you can't, like, in my opinion, you can't just like black box. Like, you can't just use something that you have no idea what it is because it just leads for misinformation, miscommunication, like I said, manipulation of like people. But I don't know. That's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that is why I wanted to bring up that whole conversation, though,
Yeah.
because I feel like, especially in today's age, and especially when it comes to education, I'll put it like this. When we come to school, yes, we come to learn. And yes, using generative AI can help us like learn in our own way, teach in our own way. But at the same time, we also come to like collaborate with others. We come to
Yep.
talk with each others. We come to learn and challenge each others and develop a growing open mindset. And that's just something that we just need to keep in mind. Because when we lose that, then we freaking become the people from Wally. If you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it just comes down to like understanding, right? It's understanding so you can form an opinion so that you can take action if you disagree, is what I kind of say. And it's like AI should be used to foster more critical thinking. Like this teacher I had a podcast with a few weeks ago, and I'm going to
Mhm.
totally butcher this. Uh, he said that what he uses AI for is like the 3C cycle. It's like curiosity, and after curiosity, it's I don't know if it's conceptualization. So pretty much you become curious and then you become
Mhm.
like practiced. So you work on it and then you become, gosh, can never remember these. The third one,
It'll come to you.
you become, like credentialed or you can do whatever you're saying you're doing or, and then credible, right? And then after you become
Right.
credible, that should foster more curiosity. So inherently what it means is like a circle. So it's like if you learn how to do something, AI can help you get all the way around to becoming an expert on it. And you shouldn't stop there. That inherently should allow for you to then become more curious, to learn more things, to be able to do other things, right? And I just think you should be looking at it from a lens of I can do so many things that I couldn't do before, not that this thing that I used to do 8 hours, I can do 1 hour, and now I can go watch TikTok for 7 hours, right? And I think that
Right.
is kind of where the Wally conversation comes in, where it's like if AI can do everything, like I'm just gonna sit down and drink my food and watch TV all day. But like
Jeez.
I think that's just the misconception, and that's just the like societal kind of problems that I think we have. That it's like, I mean, when AI came out, I have been excited for 3 years. My brain has not turned off in 3 years just because of all of the things that I can do now. Making a video animation, I am no way, shape, or form would have ever been able to do that ever. But now, when I have like a creative thing that I want to do, I have an outlet and I can go do that. Like I said, if I wanted to go make a podcast in Swahili about tuning a ukulele, I can do that. And then I could have it go, but I'm not going to just do that to make garbage. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to have AI explain to me what Swahili is, how to learn Swahili, or what tuning a ukulele can do for a ukulele. It's like there's so many things, there's endless opportunities now. There's endless things that you can do, but we need to see it as a way to do more, not to like do less, is what I think is super important.
And to open more conversations with each other
Yep.
so that we can learn from each other and not just learn from the AI itself.
Yeah, and it's like from my job, I have gotten to work with kids in Rwanda, South Africa, Australia, Argentina, and it's like those people are all struggling with the same thing. Like it's all the conversations, it's pretty much exactly the same all around the world. Uh, and there's so many cool things that it's doing. It's like I've never did my friend C Clay in Johannesburg, South Africa. I have a project that I work in English and he works in isiZulu, and it's like that is so freaking cool. I never would have been able to do that if it wasn't for this technology. But like all that's doing is helping me collaborate and learn and work and become friends with people that live across the world, right? That I never would have had the opportunity to do so. Uh, I just think like it's just funny. It's like people are like AI is writing everyone's papers. It's bad. Like there's so many bigger problems in the world. Stefan Bouchard, I'll tag him in this post. He says like I don't know why people are so worried about papers. There's so many other problems in the world that this can help solve that we should be focusing on rather than whether or not a student is writing a paper. And it's like and it all comes back to the critical thinking. It's like this should be used to make this 10 times more valuable rather than making it so that I can go do things that I just don't add any value to anything.
Yeah. But I mean, people, what can I say? People are lazy. People love the easy path.
Yep.
And I mean, and I'll end it here. And I'll end it here with this
Yeah.
last question because, you know, we were gearing more closer to it. So like I said, people are lazy. And I mean, like you said, generative AI, it's not going anywhere.
Nope.
It really isn't. As much as it's to the dismay of many people, myself included, we got to admit it's not going anywhere. And
Yep.
people love to use it as a shortcut, sadly. So, in your eyes, I know you've most likely already said it, but I just want it to be reiterated. In your eyes, how can we turn generative AI from a shortcut to a skill?
Talk about it. Show value. Teach people about it. Be transparent about what's happening with it. Like understand what's going on. Like I think it needs to be taught in a way, like I've kind of mentioned a bunch of times, that like you can now do anything. When the railroad became a thing, it allowed people on the East Coast to go explore opportunities on the West Coast. There's a railroad that goes underground, upside down, into space, anywhere now. Generative AI just paved a road to be able to do literally whatever you want to do. But you can't do it all at once. And you need to learn how it works, what it is, what it can do, what are the values, what are the drawbacks, what are the unethical ways that it was created, things like that. Because I, I just think it needs to be used like talked about like a hammer or like a car, right? Like when the tractor came out, like people were saying like it's gonna, ruin farming because the horse industry was so big at the time. Like it's just gonna open up so many horizons. And if you're not educated on it, you can't participate in that. Like you just have no way of doing it. Like burying your head in the sand does you no good. It does the world no good. And all that's going to happen is someone that wants to do what they're going to be able to do can do that easier in a negative way if there's not a large mass of people that have an understanding of what's going on in a way that they can take actionable steps to like voice their opinion, talk with people, things like that. So, I mean, I think it really all starts with an open mind, right? It all starts with
Yeah.
being able to listen to someone and hear their opinions, take what you agree with and leave with you leave what you don't, right? And
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it starts in schools too. Like I think it just
Yeah.
needs to be taught and it needs to be talked about and it needs to be transparent. And it needs to be less of a big business, in my opinion. If it actually like the way OpenAI was founded was on this idea that they were going to make this democratizing technology that would help everyone in the world and wasn't going to be like responding to shareholders. But that quickly went away. And
Yeah.
I think there's lots of drawbacks. And if you want to do something about it, learn about it. Because if you can't talk about it, people that are doing things are not going to talk to you because why would they? Because you haven't done your homework, you know? And I think that's the number one thing. Like for people listening to this that don't like generative AI, not liking stuff does the world no good, right? Be able to write a paper about why it's bad, be able to explain to someone why you disagree with it and what are the drawbacks with like real facts, right? Like I don't know. I think there's so many ways to make it a skill, not a shortcut, and it all starts with opening up a conversation and learning about it. Because then the more I don't know how to use AI. AI, like I said, there's no responsible way to use it because like we are all living in the biggest social experiment that's ever happened. These people release something. I know so there's
Yeah.
a conspiracy theorist on this podcast, Sean, but pretty much like
Oh, trust me.
pretty much like these companies, they had no idea how people were going to use it. And we painted the picture. We painted the way
Hmm.
forward on the way that it's supposed to be used. And if you're not using it, you are not a part of that conversation. And then your opinion will not be heard, is kind of what I like to say. So be heard,
Or,
talk about it.
or at the very least, just like, educate yourself on it. Like
Yeah,
you said, educate yourself on it so that when we do need people to stand against it, they're educated about like what it does, what it can help with, and how we can regulate it.
exactly. If you don't know anything about it, why would I talk to you about it? You know what I mean? Like why would like a negative Nancy doesn't do the world any good, right? You can be pissed off and you can hate the whole thing, but if you don't have no education on it, why do you hate it? You know, just because you're scared, really, is where it all comes from. And like being scared's okay. AI can teach you about AI or go read a book. You know, don't just burying your head in the sand does no one any good. And you got to talk about it. You got to open up conversations. You got to be curious, right? You got to be open-minded. Because I mean, you will come to like certain things of it, and your opinions will stay the same on certain things. But then when someone asks you about it, you'll be able to tell them why. And again, back to the why. Every single thing
Yeah,
has ended. Everything else, every single thing that I've said on this podcast has ended with why are we doing what we're doing, right? Why are
right.
you talking about how much you hate AI? What's your goal with that? What's the point? What societal benefits does that have for all of us? And don't be overwhelmed. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of information and there's so many news and there's so many people telling you exactly what to do. Uh, but just anything. Education's power, knowledge is power. You know, being able to know things helps you, and it helps you help others, right? Because if you can help one person, you make the world a better place. Because that person will go help other people, and I just think that's really why I'm really passionate about it. Is that like it's opened up so many doors for me to be able to like try to help people. I think is just a really cool thing. But Sean, thank you. This was so fun.
No, man. Thank you. Like, as I said before, I don't know if this will be possible without you, but I truly appreciate you. Even though we're on different viewpoints on the subject matter, I got to still stand my ground for my fellow artists and creators. But I still do appreciate you, man.
I
Please.
I appreciate you too, and I've learned so much from your side. And it's like, speak up, right? And then like what you're doing is so cool. You educated me on numerous things that I didn't know, but we had a conversation, you learned about it. You're more on my side and I'm more on your side than we were when we started, when I met you. And it's I think that is the most valuable thing, whether it be AI, politics, life, sports teams, right? It's like be able to listen to people, be a human, right? That's the CEO Boodlebox says it all the time. Being human is the next killer app, right? And that is the coolest thing that you can do. And if you want to make a difference in the world, you got to be educated on what you're trying to make a difference about.
Oh my God, that sounds corny to me, man, but it's true.
It is true. It's
It
super
is
true.
true. It is true.
It's super true. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up, Sean. I'm just gonna thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you. And please, my dear friend, tell them where they can find you.
Find me on LinkedIn. I'll have all of my information where this podcast is posted. And I would love to talk to you if you don't like generative AI. It's one of my favorite conversations. Reach out on LinkedIn. My email is just zach@boodle.ai. And I'll even put my phone number in if you want to shoot me a text. So, everybody, thank you so much. This was so fun. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of the other side.
Wait a minute. I can end it real quick.
Yeah, wrap it up.
All right. You can find me at LinkedIn at Sean Amaso. You can email me any business queries or talks about generative AI at www, sorry, at Amaso Foundation 51051 at gmail.com. You can reach me through Instagram at the underscore Amaso underscore foundation or my website, seanamaso.com. And before I end it, let me leave you with this other lesson, since we were talking about lessons earlier. We talked about isolation. So I want to pin this challenge to you all. Go out, socialize with either friends or families, or make new friends or families. But most of all, challenge yourself and try to develop a growing open mindset. You never know how far you'll go unless you give yourself a try. Thank you all. And as always, stay blessed.